Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you on tonight, bring you tonight's Bible study. Pray that everyone's week is going well. Know that there's probably some different things that are transpiring in everybody's life right now. So, good evening there, my brother Leo. With the different things transpiring, I know that it's definitely causing everyone to work a little different there, and it's kind of vital in this season because I want to make sure that you recognize you're not like anybody else. You're not like anybody else. Good evening there, sis. So I want you to understand that right off the get-go. And those of you that are on, go ahead and type that in. I am not like anybody else. Because I want you to understand that you having to face whatever it is that you're having to face, because we're all having to face something different right now. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. We're all having to face something different. We're having to approach things that we've never had to approach before. We're having to address things that we've never had to address before. You're having to function in ways that you've never had to function before. It's who you're supposed to be, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, but it's got this awkward feeling to it because you still have this tendency to try to compare who you are and what you do to somebody else. You are not like anybody else. Not when it comes to working, not when it comes to dating, not when it comes to raising your kids, not when it comes to marriage, not when it comes to owning a business, not when it comes, I don't care what it is. Family, church, you are not like anybody else. Period. And I got to stress that really tough tonight because of the question. What are your works working you towards? See, because the problem is when you start doing works like other people do them, it starts working you towards their outcome. And you ain't like nobody else. So since you ain't like nobody else and the works that you're doing are working you towards their outcome, when you get there, you're going to be disappointed. So I've been seeing a lot of different people that's on different levels of disappointment here. And I got to address that on a higher level because we were looking at identifying your desire. Now we've gotten to a point to where we can start talking about clarifying your desire. And that's what we're going to be kind of digging into on Saturday. But I cannot stress that enough, that you have to get to the place to where you are okay with not being like anybody else, not doing things like anybody else, not working like anybody else, not loving like anybody else, not caring like anybody else. You care, but you don't care like anybody else. So you can't compare that. So the fact that you care about certain things and it's not like anybody else cares about it. See, this is what you got to catch. Even when it comes to working and how you work and the things that you do, you have to understand that you're not like anybody else, and therefore your works need to be working towards an outcome that fits you. Ooh, we coming out sizzling tonight. This is why I want you to get this, because, like I said, our question tonight: what are your works working you towards? And that, again, until we can get to the place to where you're consistently okay with no matter who the crowd is, to where you're consistently okay with no matter what anybody else is doing or how anybody else would have handled that situation, because people, have decided to offer you their decision, to offer you their choice, to offer you the way that they would handle this. And if that was my child, and if this was my relationship, and this was my job, and this was my company, and this, I don't care what it is. You have to get to a place to where you're okay with not being like anybody else. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to even change from where you're at. And that, again, I don't want you to find yourself being held hostage to where you're at and working right now, because I'm going to say something, and this right here, this one might hurt, and this one might sting a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an I love you right here. And I probably just better go ahead and give you a blanket I love you, because I feel like this is fixing to start flowing. But what I want you to understand is, is that how you do what you do is fit for you. Okay. So since that's fit for you, what you have to make sure of is that once you begin to engage in what you're doing, you can't hold yourself hostage and plan to stay where you're at concerning that specific thing, whatever it is: relationship, raising kids, making money, or running a business, working for a company. I don't care what it is. You have to get to a place to where you understand that, again, I love you. Some of you are in your right purpose, but you're functioning at the wrong level of it. Oh. You where you're supposed to be. You working with who you're supposed to work with. You're married to who you're supposed to be married to. You're in the right thing. You're at the right company that you're supposed to be at. He shifted you. You're in between jobs, whatever it is. He's saying, okay, I need you right here, right now, but I don't need for you to hold yourself hostage right here, because there's levels to this thing. And since there's levels to this thing, you need to know, what are your works working you towards? Whew. So you're in the right place. You're in the right position, but are you actually functioning on the right level of that place and position? Teach them lions. Because when you begin, see, dang, I don't want to go here. I wasn't trying to go here. I'm gonna go here, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. But the reason some of y'all are tired concerning your kids is because you keep treating them like they infants and toddlers. And some of them grown now, and you're still treating them like that. You still fixing their plate. You still picking up after them. You still doing all of this stuff. I'm tired of them. They need to. Why don't they need to? They ain't changed because you ain't changed. You ain't holding them accountable. You ain't putting them in a position to where they are having to be responsible for their actions, where they are having to receive consequences for their actions. There's different people that I have, helped counsel when they were raising their kids and the kids were small. And when I tell them that my children, my two, my son and my daughter, my son got his first spanking at 6 months old, and my daughter got her first one at 8 months old. You're like, what? That's abuse. I didn't give them no hard spanking, but I had to tap that hand and tap that behind because I knew that they knew what I said. Because when I told my son no, I remember both instances clear as day. Because with my son, he was reaching for something on the table, and I knew where he was headed because he just was zeroed in on it, going straight forward. And as soon as I seen him walking towards it, I said no. I said it with a point blank and abruptness. Told him no. He turned around and looked at me. And when he looked at me, he was like, wait, how did he know what I was headed to do? And while he's looking me dead in my face, he's easing his hand towards exactly what I was telling him no about. And I let him get about an inch within of what he was reaching for on that table, and I smacked his hand. And you would have thought the world ended because, boy, I ain't caring about you crying. I told you no, and your actions just showed me that you clearly understood exactly what I was telling you. So I don't know who that's for. I'm trying to just kind of flow with the spirit here, but I dropped that one, and now we ready to dig into what are your works working you towards. So this is what I want you to start out with tonight. We're going to start out in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7. And this is a verse that I know we know. Anybody that's of any level of faith, you've heard this one right here. It's a simple one, but we about to take it to some depths on tonight because our question is, what are your works working you towards? So in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, it says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. And it's self-explanatory. He's talking about, therefore we're always confident that while we're at home in the body, we're absent from the Lord, but we're walking by faith and living this life based upon where we want our afterlife to be and all of that. So what he's addressing there, and we're not covering that part, I'm going to show you something that I need to make sure that you see as we're living right here, right now in 2024. I want to make sure that you see what your faith activates concerning your works. I want to make sure that you see this, because again, we're going to be digging into clarifying our desire, because what's been going on with some of you is some of you have been actually doing things a specific way because your focus is to keep from, watch how I'm about to say this. Your focus is to keep a previous outcome that you didn't like from happening, not by faith. What? Wait a minute, Lions. What are you talking about? You're focused on trying to keep a previous outcome from happening again, not agreeing with God. Teach him, Lions. Your focus is to keep from having a hurtful or painful outcome that you had before, or certain conditions that you experienced before. But you haven't been focusing on agreeing with God about that. You've just been trying to avoid hurt with that. So you've been so focused on not struggling in your bank account like you have before, that you've been working a whole bunch of extra hours that the Lord ain't told you to work, and that's why you still can't get ahead even with you working all them extra hours. You've been focused on having the conversation like this and not really giving your true feelings and kind of tiptoeing around how you really feel. And instead of just actually being 1000% authentic and letting the chips fall wherever they may, you're doing all of that tiptoeing. And that's why they still ain't got the point yet. See, what are your works working you towards? So I'm going to go ahead and give you this first point, because first point is what you see determines, watch this, how your faith will work. Oh. What you see determines how your faith will work. See, the problem has been with some people is that you've been seeing the situation, you've been seeing the problem, but you've been trying to have the faith of somebody else about your problem. We gonna get this thing one way or another. Y'all might not like me by the time I'm done, but we gonna get this thing one way or the other. You're seeing the problem. You're seeing the situation, but you're trying to activate a level of faith or a type of faith that someone else functions by concerning that thing. So that's kind of what happened with, the sons of Sceva, and that's what caused them to get their butt whipped and all of that. And we'll probably look at that on Saturday. Yeah, Sons of Sceva, they understood, how faith was supposed to work, but they didn't know how to work it themselves. So when they were saying, well, we adjure you by the Jesus whom Paul preacheth. So Jesus is exactly who you should have your faith in. But you're trying to function by it according to Paul's faith, and you're trying to do it by eavesdropping. Uh-oh. Oh, I hear something right here, and I got to go ahead and deal with this. See, some of y'all have been trying to function by eavesdropping faith. You've been trying to listen in on somebody else and how they pray, and listen in on somebody else and what they say, not understanding how it really works with God and directly connected with Him. So you functioning by that eavesdropping faith. You listening in on somebody else's conversation and looking in on somebody else's outcomes and not understanding exactly how to work the works of faith for yourself. This is why you have to understand. Let me go ahead and get ready for a couple of things. Get ready for this second point, because what I need for you to understand is understand what I'm saying with that first point. What you see, okay? You look at a problem, something pops up, whether it's your health, whether it's you look at the checkbook, you look at the economy, you look at what's going on in your family, you look at a conflict that you have with someone in the house. You look at that, you see it. And based upon what you see, it's at that point, either you're going to start trying to work a specific way to calm it down. Well, I don't even feel like I don't want no disagreement. I don't want no argument. I don't want no conflict. So I'm gonna just be quiet. Now you fuming, you mad, but now you're gonna stay quiet, and there's some wisdom to that. But continually staying quiet was never supposed to be the case. You ain't supposed to just stay quiet. You stay quiet while you don't know what to say or how to say it. But the goal should be, I need to find words for what needs to be said. See, I'll type that in. Find words for what needs to be said. See, because one of my points later is going to deal with that. You have to understand that it's by your words that you're justified, and it's by your words that you're condemned. So if you're not saying anything when something needs to be said, then your outcome can't happen the way that it needs to happen, because your words have not been yet released for the specific thing. So this is why you have to understand how to find words for what needs to be said. Watch this, on your behalf. Because remember the question, what are your works working you towards? So when I got something that's under my skin, but I ain't trying to figure out how to say what needs to be said, then my works, watch this, are working towards my disappointment. Oh, lions, teach them. See, now your works are working you towards disappointment because something upset you but you're not trying to figure out how to even voice what upsets you so that you can get to a solution about what upsets you so that everything can then change to be working towards a good outcome. Am I making sense to you? Or am I getting on your nerves so bad that you're like, I'm ready to turn him off tonight. He meddling too much. But this is what I want you to get, because now let's get ready for our second point. For our second point, I want to go to Matthew chapter 12, verse 33 and 34. Matthew chapter 12, verse 33 and 34 says this right here. This is what I need you to catch. Matthew chapter 12, verse 33 and 34. It says, either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, watch this, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So here's what happens. Something upsets you. Once it upsets you, you now are centering your thinking around whatever the thing was that upset you. That's why you're upset. Okay? Once it upsets you, if you don't start working work to get to the bottom of why that upsets you, and working work to figure out how to keep that thing from upsetting you again, then your works are working you towards disappointment. Watch this, and making your tree corrupt. Wait a minute, time out, Lions. What are you talking about making my tree corrupt? Because you ain't putting forth the work that needs to be put forth in order to keep the problem, watch this, to keep from continuing to be a problem. It upsets you. And if you don't start to work some work to keep that from upsetting you again, next time it comes along, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be hot under the collar, hotter than fish grease, mad, upset, tore up from the floor up. And guess whose fault it is? Well, they keep doing that. You keep staying upset and not figuring out how to make the tree good. You keep letting them, watch this, keep you on a puppet string. Oh, I know that struck somebody's nerve right there. But this is what I need you to catch. So I want you to type this in. I ain't going to be nobody's puppet no more. I ain't gonna be nobody's puppet no more. Once you upset me, what I'm going to say is thank you initially for myself, because this is what I want you to understand. This is what I've learned. Once you upset me, you have now uncovered something that I didn't know would bother me that way. And then once you do that, then it's my job to not let you have me on a string like that no more. That's my job. I'm not fixing to let you keep me on a string like that no more. Yes, you upset me. But watch this, whether on purpose or not. Whether on purpose or not, whether you was doing what you was doing on purpose or not, that's not the point. The point is, once it upsets me, it now becomes my job to keep myself under control enough to not allow you doing that again to keep causing me to disappoint myself. I think we done struck a nerve tonight. Because again, what are your works working you towards? So, O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance, whatever there's the most of that's in there, that's what's coming out. That's what's coming out. I see Prophet Xavier on here. He was actually in Louisiana when I did this thing. I had filled some mustard bottles with some ketchup, and then I filled a ketchup bottle with some mustard in it. And then I had some mustard bottles that actually had mustard in them. And then I had some ketchup bottles that actually had ketchup in them. But I had them all mixed up. And in having them mixed up, see, what I wanted everybody to realize is that once you identify what's in there, then you can begin to use that to your advantage. You can begin to use that, but you need to find out how to know what's in there. So I had the ones that I had switched up, I had them marked a specific way so that I could tell whenever I had them to come up and look at them. Here's what I want you to understand. God's got you marked a specific way. Teach him, Lions. God's got you marked a specific way. Now, the thing that upsets you that somebody else does, it's not so much that you need to worry about getting them to stop doing it so you won't be upset. It's so that you can develop to the right level so that won't upset you no more, no matter who does it. And then it's up to you to determine, okay, even though I'm not going to let that upset me, is that something that I even want to continue in my life? Is that something that I want to be around? Is that something that I want people around me to do that? It's up to you to determine that part. But what I'm saying to you right now is once you initially get upset, it's your job to then work on not allowing what they do with that specific thing to keep you from being upset whenever they do that again. You've got to get to that place to where you're like, look, I don't care who does that. It upset me with that time. And then once I recognize that upset me, then it's not their job to not do it anymore. It's my job to get control over me and then determine what my consequence is going to be for whoever chooses to do that. But I ain't going to do it upset. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be your puppet no more. I'm not going to let that control that. So here's my second point. My second point is motive determines manifestation. Motive determines manifestation. That's what Jesus was saying. Either make the tree good or make the tree corrupt. That's what he's saying. He's saying, take your pick. I don't care which one you choose, but just own it all the way through. If you're going to be corrupt, see, I'm gonna have to just be direct about some stuff. So y'all just put your steel toes on, put your neck brace on. I love you. But if you're going to be a butthole 24/7 and then let me determine as to whether or not I want to be around you being a butthole. But don't act like you good one minute, a butthole the next minute, and then expect me, watch this, to just keep letting you do that without any consequence. I'm not going to keep letting you upset me. Now, how I figure out how this is going to work between me and you by you choosing to be that one, that consistent butthole, then after I determine what I'm going to do, I don't want you, watch this, I don't want you changing because I'm changing. I don't want you to change until you have the heart or the character to change. But what ain't going to happen is I'm not fixing to deal with your Jekyll and Hyde, okay? Because your Jekyll and Hyde, I'm just not going to keep dealing with that. Because when I saw that your Jekyll and Hyde upset me, keep being your Jekyll and Hyde if that's what you're choosing to do. But I'm finna make my tree good. And the way that I'm going to make my tree good is I'm going to make sure that your Jekyll and Hyde don't keep bothering me. Ooh-wee. This is what I want you to understand to get you ready for this third point. See, with this third point, watch this. I want you to go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 6, verses 15 through 17. We've looked at this passage. We looked at this passage Saturday, but we're going to look at it again because I want to show you something different from the same passage. But in 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 15 through 17, it says this. 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 15 through 17, says this. It says, and when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed. So notice what he prays right here. Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes. Open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. All right. So this is why this is so important. You need to be able to see, because that's why I gave you the first point. What you see determines how your faith will work. So with this, in this point right here, initially, he can't see that who's with them is with him and Elijah. He can't see that they've got more angels and help with them than they do an enemy. I told y'all, put your neck brace on, put your steel toes on, cover up. Because when you begin to be in a place of any type of need, what you say lets me know what you see. Because what you see plays a part in what you say. So this is why I want you to catch that. Because our third point, what I want you to see, I said, I love you, but some of you are crying because you don't have the faith to deal with what you are seeing. Ooh-wee. Some of you are crying because that's what the servant done. That's what. That's what the servant does right there. He sees the enemy, starts crying. How are we finna do it? How are we going to handle this? He said, you need to see. So y'all type that in for me. I need to see. See, because remember, what are your works working you towards? If you ain't seeing right, the works that you are going to begin partaking of are going to have you working towards an outcome that's only going to lead you into more disappointment. So I need to see. That's what I need. I don't need, watch this. This is going to mess y'all up, and this is going to have your wheels turning when I say this. You don't need the tangibles right off the rip. You need to see first. You need to see first. That's what needs to happen first. I need to see properly first. Because until I see what's opposing me properly, I can't even apply my faith properly. Ooh, teach them lions. I can't even apply my faith properly because I can't see. I ain't seeing right yet. So I need to see first. I need to see it for what it is. And when I see it for what it is, now I need to, at that point, begin to put together a process of works that are going to work towards my faith. Oh, teach them, lions. So this is, let's get ready for this fourth point because I want you to see that. I don't want you to dwell on why you're crying because some of you crying because you don't have the faith to deal with what you are seeing. But that's what I'm here to help you with. That's what I'm trying to show you because we're fixing to get to the place where you're clarifying your desire. You have this desire, but how you get to fulfilling that desire is just as important as the desire itself. So this is why I need for you to catch this. So now for this fourth point, let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 13. Numbers, chapter 13. We're going to look at verses 1 and 2 to start out with, and then we're going to skip down to verses 16 through 20 because I need you to see something. See what I did there? Because this is what I want you to catch. In the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verses 1 and 2, and then we're going to skip down to verses 16 through 20. Numbers chapter 13, verse 1 and 2, it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses. So Moses is following the instructions of the Lord. So here's the next thing I want y'all to type in before I even finish reading this. The Lord wants you to see. Type that in for me. The Lord wants you to see. He does. Because if he didn't want you to see, he wouldn't have sent the spies. There's some things that we tend to skip over that we need to pay close attention to. So the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, send thou men that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel, of every tribe of their fathers. That is vitally important. It says, of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among them. See, that's very strategic right there. I wanted you to see this part, and instead of just jumping down to 16 through 20. I wanted you to see this part because God gets a representative from every tribe. Because again, every tribe ain't seeing a problem the same way. And since every tribe ain't seeing a problem the same way, is that I need to make sure that the report that comes back comes from somebody that's actually from their tribe, so that they won't be able to say, you don't see this like I see it. No. They came from your tribe. So this is why I need you to catch this. Because when he says, send thou men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel, of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among them. So he not only wanted it to be somebody from their tribe, he wanted it to be somebody that was visible from their tribe. He didn't want them to send to nobody. He said, make sure that they're a ruler. Somebody who has responsibility, that's supposed to have accountability, but that's where you find out later what goes on whenever only 2 come back with a positive report and 10 come back and don't have a positive report. But I ain't even dealing with that. I want you to check this out. Now let's skip down to verses 16 through 20, because this is going to get us set up for our fourth point. Verse 16 through 20 says, these are the names of the men which Moses sent out to spy the land. And Moses called Oshea, the son of Nun, Joshua, Joshua. So notice there's a name change right there. So a lot of people look over that with Joshua. He said, no. I need to give you a new name based upon this new instruction that I'm giving you. I need to give you a new level based upon this new instruction that I'm giving. See, some of you, he's already elevated you, but you're not looking at your purpose on the right level. You're looking at your purpose before he brought you to this level. He said, no. I'm finished with that. You done well. That's why I elevated you. See, what some of you are messing up with right now is you think that the trouble was because of demotion. The trouble was because of elevation. See, this is what you got to catch. This is what I want you to see. When he is sending Moses, when Moses is sending Joshua, like I said, we've always called him Joshua, but what I want you to see is that initially when he's sending them, and when you look at those verses, the previous verses, when it says Oshea, it doesn't say Joshua, it says Oshea. And that's why I want you to see this, because Moses is like, yeah, I can't even, you're displaying something different now. So I need for y'all to type that in now. I'm displaying something different now. That's what all of you are doing. See, you might be going to the same job, but you're displaying something different now. See, and some of you have to take this into account. I remember back when there was like 2 or 3 times in my life of being in the corporate world that the jobs just ended. They got rid of my position. And see, it was throwing people off because they're like, man, no, you're a good worker. They should be keeping you. Now, yeah, I got you. But evidently the Lord said, I'm finished here. See, and that's what some of you have got to catch on. You keep trying to go back to a place that the Lord's finished with you at. And he said, no. Count that door closed. That's why I closed it. I don't mean for you to go back there. He said, but I need for you to see who you are on this level and watch what I do. Because I'm about to show you how I'm going to do more with less. Ooh, wait. You ain't even going to have to work like you used to work if you'll pay attention to what I'm doing with you on this level. See, and that's what God's looking for. He's saying, when I let you go into shambles, when I let you walk into a wreck, I'm trying to show you how to do more with less effort. Because I got to show you what your works are working you towards. Oh my goodness. See, we probably gonna have to even look at the dry bones Saturday. Because some of you are trying to make the bones live by putting them together instead of prophesying to the wind. See, he's saying, quit trying to make stuff work. Ask me how I want you to bring this back to life. Ah! He's saying, ask me how I want you to bring this back to life. If there's anything that I even need you to do with it. There's some stuff, like I said, he's telling you to roll on, and you keep trying to resuscitate it. But this is what I want you to understand. Resurrected people look at things differently than folks that have never had to go through crucifixion. See, some of y'all listening to folks that ain't got enough experience. And that's why you ain't figured out what to do yet. Because you're getting the wrong kind of counsel. So this is what I want you to catch. Because remember, what are your works working you towards? The reason this is so crucial is because I want you to catch this. You write something down here. It's things that God's flowing to me right now. So I just put my notepad right beside me because it's as He brings it, I'm bringing it. The reason that I want you all to catch this and pay close attention to this, because when He says, watch this, names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land, and Moses called Hoshea, son of Nun, Joshua. And Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain, and see the land. See the land, what it is, and the people that dwelleth therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many, and what the land is that they dwell in, whether it be good or bad, and what cities they be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds, and what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be ye of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes. Okay, so He gives them clear instruction of what to do. Clear instruction. See, and it's funny because y'all see it try to freeze up and slow down and all of that when we get into this part right here. But I'm gonna make it work because this is what I need you to catch. In those verses 16 through 20, what He's laying out to us and what He's putting in place is He's putting in place a process of works that is actually going to encourage you. He's putting together a process of works that's going to encourage them. He's putting together a process of works that they are able to actually see. Yeah, I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna just hold tight. I'm gonna just chill because, again, I understand how the kingdom works. So watch this. let's let's get in and let's dig right here. Oh, this is real funny right here. Yeah, I ain't gonna stop. We gonna make sure this one get done. Cause like I said, I know what these works are working towards. So I'm gonna ease on through it because he gave me this kind of patience so that I could make sure on how to get things done. So now, as 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 the little internet storm done passed through, this is what I need you to catch. In those verses 16 through 20, what he's doing is he is giving them a set of instructions that are going to be works that are going to work them towards what they've been promised. So everything that God's got you doing right now is working you towards what he promised you. See, it's some stuff that's been seeming like it's been fruitless that he's had you doing. See, because you got to understand, the rest of the camp is waiting on them to get back with the report. He's waiting on them to get back with the report. That's why he even tells them, bring back something. He tells them, bring back something that you can show everybody else that's going to stir up something in them that's going to cause them to want to do the work that's needed to get to what I promised them. See, this is why I want you to get this. Because for our fourth point, your works work by the initiation of your sight. Your works work by the initiation of your sight. See, what happens is when you see a situation for whatever it is, if you've had the faith and the experience to know how to overcome what you've seen, then your faith kicks in and says, no, in the name of Jesus, this right here is fixing to change. Now, if you've never seen anything like it before, it might freeze you up. It might cause you to then be ready to quit. It might cause you to get to where you don't even want to partake of trying to work the works. Adam. So this is what I want you to get. So when you get to the place to where you're not wanting to work the works, it's at that place that you need to build your faith. See, y'all typed it in for me. Build my faith. Build my faith. That's what God is doing when he allows you, watch this, to encounter some of that crazy stuff. So when he's letting you go in to the major chaos, when he's letting you be in those situations, here's what he's doing. He's wanting you to seek him to find out what he said about that thing that you're now looking at. So that's going to be building your faith, because once you see what he said about what you see, once you see what he says about what you see, that is then when your faith is beginning to be built. He's saying, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm showing you this because my word will not return unto me void. So I'm going to tell you what my word says about what you see. When I tell you about what my word says about what you see, then it's your job to work that work to get to your outcome. Woo! So now, for our fifth and final point for tonight, I want you to go to the book of James, chapter 2, verses 17 through 26. James, chapter 2, verses 17 through 26. Because this is what I want you to understand, because this is where folks have been getting in trouble. This is what leads people into religion, because they misconstrue what their works actually do. They misconstrue what their works actually do. That's why they end up, watch this, putting their faith more into their works than they do at putting their faith in God. Some people have more faith in their works than they do in God, because they don't understand how God works in the works that they are doing. I'm trying to teach y'all this thing. So watch this. So James chapter 2, verses 17 through 26 says this. James chapter 2, verses 17 through 26 says this. It says, even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, and thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot justified by her works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So this is down to my final point, and this is what I want to make sure that you understand clearly. So I'm gonna try to break this down as best as I can. Because remember our question. What are your works working you towards? So in this passage right here, what I want to make sure that you connect the dots with is that when you come into agreement, which is, I've told y'all, the simplest term of faith is agreement. When you come into agreement with God, the works that you do that are to coincide with your faith have to be the works that match your faith. Woo! So let me make sure that I can break this down as to its simplest form for you. I can't take the instructions on a Betty Crocker cake box and change the temperature and still expect the same outcome. I say, well, yeah, Betty Crocker gave me this, and I'll follow everything else except for this temperature that she's got. Can't do that. Because now, watch this, because now your works don't match to get that outcome. Got the mixture right, you got the ingredients right, you got everything, but you decide you want to change the temperature. Once you change that temperature, you're now adjusting the works. See, I'll type that in for me. Quit adjusting the works. You have to quit adjusting the works, because what are your works working you towards? So watch this. So when God tells you, I need for you to say this to that person right there. Well, they ain't going to listen to me. He didn't ask you if they was going to listen. He told you to say that to them. See, you keep adjusting the works. So when he gives you the specific words to say, go say this to that person. That's exactly what you need to go say. See, that's what y'all experience each week. Each week that you come on this Bible study, each week that those of you that are part of Exclusive Ecclesia, what you experience each week is me going to God, getting before him and saying, okay, how do you want me to say this right here? He will give me, he'll speak something to me. I'll write it down. I'll type it out. I'll write it again. I'll type it out, because I'm finding the exact way that he wants me to say it. So that's what the purpose of me always referring to my notes, referring to what's in front of me that he has given me to write, because I'm not adjusting the works. I'm going to say exactly what he gave me to say, how he gave me to say it, in the time frame that he gave me to say it in. So this is what I want you to catch as I get ready to give you this last point. Your works don't determine your outcome. They just establish your pathway to the outcome. See, what's been happening is people have been thinking that the works produce the outcome. The works are just a pathway to the outcome. That's why you saw Jesus do different things, different ways, even though he was going after the same outcome. So when he was dealing with blind eyes, he did different things to get them to sight. So everybody could, and I believe that was on purpose so that everybody could see that it's not about the works. It was about the faith in the instructions for the work that was supposed to be carried out that time. Because David he exhibited the same thing with the Philistines. One time he goes to fight the Philistines, they defeat him. Philistines come back again. Instead of going and trying to fight like he did the last time, that's when the Lord said, no. This time, I need you to go over to the mulberry tree. So, still ended up defeating them. But the pathway to defeating them was a different kind of work. So that's why you got to understand what your works are working you towards. See, I love y'all, but some of y'all, the reason that you're not getting the advancement that you're supposed to have right now is because you're working the works of a previous instruction. That's why I said you got to quit adjusting the works, because you're working the works of a previous instruction. And by you working the works of a previous instruction, those works are working you towards previous results, not present results that you need for right now. Teach them lions. So again, your works don't determine your outcome. They just establish your pathway to the outcome. So our first point, what you see determines how your faith will work. Second point, motive determines manifestation. Third point, some of you are crying because you don't have the faith to deal with what you are seeing. Fourth point, your works work by the initiation of your sight. Fifth point, your works don't determine your outcome. They just establish your pathway to the outcome. Clarifying your desire. That's what all of this was kicking off tonight. That's what all of this is about. So some of you kind of identified the desire. Okay. But then after you identify it, then there's specific works that God has for you to do to get to that desire. Even though your desire that you got might be the same as somebody else's that you know, but you ain't them. And since you're not them, he's saying, I got a specific way that I want you to get to this. So I need for you to be following the works that I'm giving you to get to this. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. We're going to be in Shelbyville, 111 Deary Street this coming Saturday. Around about 10 a.m. We'll be live on here, exclusive Ecclesia, around about 10:30ish, somewhere in that range. God's doing mighty things, y'all. Mighty things. I know to some of you, it looks like it is chaotic and crazy. But like I've tried to explain to you tonight, that chaotic and crazy is where he's wanting you to come to him and say, what do you want me to do with this? How do you want me to deal with this? Do you want me to speak to it? Do you want me to walk away from it? Do you want me to walk past it? Do you want me to, how do you want me? What works do you want me to work concerning this right here that I'm seeing right here, right now? Because you showed it to me for a reason. Because everything that God is showing each one of you that's on here, he's showing you what he's showing you for a reason. But then it's your job to then, whether it be a bundle of chaos or whether it be a bundle of bliss, it doesn't matter. What you need to be seeking him about, because he said, either make the tree good or make it corrupt. If you want it to be corrupt, keep not asking him what to do. And it's going to end up in chaos and corrupt. But if you will keep asking him whether it's chaos or corrupt. It's going to always turn out good because all things work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purpose. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in on tonight. I pray I didn't step on your toes too heavy, but if I did, it's just because I love you. And it's just because God loves you, because I said to you exactly what he gave me to say to you. So I pray that it blessed you. I pray that it takes you to the level that it's supposed to take you to right here in this specific season, because God's doing some mighty things, and I'm looking forward to hearing how it works out for all of you. Y'all have a blessed rest of the evening. Peace.